Hello first year students, I hope my video finds you well inshallah. This is your social and human sciences teacher. Welcome to the first video lecture in your course. In this video inshallah we will be discussing Islam and culture and its relation to social development and socialization. Islam and culture is not included in the exam, but because I have promised you to explain it, I will try to do that and link it to the aspect of social development and socialization, and explain how is it viewed from a Quranic aspect, as well as the way it is connected to Ibn Khaldun's social organization or علم العمران البشري.
A lot of times Muslims have conversations about the conflict between Islam and culture. So sometimes there are family arguments, and somebody's saying, well, we want to follow Islam, and you are following, or my parents are following culture, or my uncles are following the culture, and it makes it seem like that our religion is at war with culture. And I wanted to dedicate this khutbah to clarifying what Allah Azza wa Jalla has to say about our religion and culture.
The idea of Islam and culture is extracted from a lecture of Ustad Nu'man Ali Khan. I wish to refer to the idea of culture because it is important to understand society and to understand that Islam is really in terms with culture. So this ayah from Surat Al Hujurat, or the dwelling, which reads in Arabic, يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. And in English it reads, O man, behold, we have created you all out of a male and a female, and have made you into nations and tribes, so that you might come to know one another. Verily, the noblest of you in the sight of God is the one who is most deeply conscious of Him. Behold, God is all-knowing, all-aware. Allah created the human beings and He meant them to be different. He meant this to have different kind of societies. So He says, and we made you into different kinds of people and different tribes so you can recognize each other. So the word ta'arafu in Arabic does not only mean recognize, but the idea of urf in Arabic also means social norms. In other words, you may travel to many places and learn something about how they do things, and you learn some different things about those people and different things about different cultures. So the translated verse شعوبا وقبائل is people and nations or tribes. Shu'ub here in Arabic means a hole in the wall or a crack. It doesn't only mean people, but it also means a crack, a hole. The idea of crack here explains that no nation is perfect. A cracked culture has got another culture to learn from and reciprocate with, just like human beings who are imperfect and they need other people to learn from and to share behavior, habits, customs, norms, and values with. The idea of reciprocity, which means a mutual exchange between cultures or human beings, is important because it helps us know about other people and also know about ourselves, being imperfect. For example, some people are very good at organization, but they cannot speak very well. Some other people are very good writers, but they are not very good at math. Allah made us as human beings imperfect, and He gave us strengths and weaknesses. And it's the same thing with cultures. Some cultures have many strengths, and other cultures have weaknesses. And this is why God made us into different cultures, so that we can learn from each other's strengths, and we depend on each other and learn best practices from other cultures and other people. God wants us to never assume that we are better or perfect than anybody else. The noblest of you in the sight of God is the one who is most deeply conscious of Him, means that we should always remember the mightiness and power and glory of God, and therefore know how inferior we are in comparison to Him. Here, no culture should think itself better than any other culture or look down on other cultures as they are inferior. Because this idea of imperfection is created by God in order to make us believe that we need the other to complete. The Pharaoh stands here as the best example when he said that Prophet Moses and Aaron, peace be upon them, came to him in order to get rid of his perfect lifestyle. He thought that he was the most supreme lifestyle on earth, and that everyone else wanted to be like him. When the Pharaoh thought of himself to be perfect, he imperfected other people, and thus inferiorized them, enslaved them, and tortured them. This mentality, unfortunately, was extended to the Western European culture through the colonizers, who saw that they were bringing their higher lifestyle and worldview to elevate other people. So the white man's burden is an ideology created by the European countries and which represented a colonial imperialist moral burden of the white race. These white people considered themselves divinely destined to civilize the brutish, non-white other, inhabiting barbarous parts of the world similar to Africa, South America, Australia, and Asia, and mainly every people of color. Westerners believed that it was their godly duty and obligation to civilize us, because according to them, we are seen as inhuman, savage, wild, and we needed to be tamed through education and civilization. It was a kind of a heavy load, a heavy weight on their back to help us into a better life and a perfect life. This, unfortunately, has created a kind of antagonism towards other cultures. It created a kind of enmity where there is always two opposing sides, us versus them. And here we are becoming enemies with the other culture. We either hate the other culture because it's superior or because we think it's inferior. Allah said that He made us diverse so that we recognize each other and we recognize other civilizations, learn from them and take from them. And in exchange, they can also take from us as well what they need to add to their societies in order to make them better through best practices. So God created in His wisdom different kinds of cultures, different kinds of foods, clothing, languages, heritage and architecture to make us learn and complete each other. So in Islam, being influenced by other cultures similar to the Western European culture is not forbidden as far as we are being selective, elevating ourselves in terms of education and good technology and conduct. The Western culture can also benefit from Arab culture, not in relation to behavior only, but also language, food, and architecture. Why not? Because culture is not only about behavior. It's all about social development and expression. What I want to say here is that as human beings and as social beings, we shouldn't think that imitating Western culture would necessarily omit or eliminate our Muslim culture. The problem is that our Islamic culture is stigmatized, misinterpreted, and therefore it's misunderstood. It is misunderstood. Normally we should be proud of our Islamic culture and not be enslaved by European culture. The idea of antagonism is only created by the Western world to bring enmity with other superior cultures and with one's culture. In order to be proud with our culture, we instead would feel inferiorized because we belong to that culture. So the white man's burden, unlike Islam, denies and subordinates the other culture. And Islam, however, diversifies and encourages learning other cultures because we are different and equal, not different and inferior. Learning from other diverse cultures helps developing society, and this helps us into more sociability. We will try to better understand this and how social development is extracted from human development itself, and how does the aspect of socialization help us into a better self, a better society, and a better culture. We will try to analyze how did Ibn Khaldun explore in that, and how did he use understanding diverse cultures to write his exemplary book, and how did this special cultural social diversity help into what he called social organization or علم العمران البشري. This is all for now. I hope you find this useful and easy to understand, inshallah. This is just a short video in order to help you understand the relationship between Islam and culture and why are they important, and with evidence, the ayah from the holy book, the Quran, that explains that Islam or religion in general, the Muslim religion in general, does not deny cultures. God has created us different in purpose. He created us different and imperfect in order to complete each other. And this is how life goes. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below or contact me on my email, which is already available to you. I'll be seeing you in another video, inshallah, and salam.